Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, powered by the Retirement Income Store and brought to you by Adjemi Financial Strategies in Guilford, Connecticut and Denver, Colorado.
I'm so grateful for being able to be in business. We just passed 32 years of being in the financial service industry. You know, when I got into this, Daniel, that long ago, that I didn't even know financial service industry existed. But coming from the ministry, which is the whole idea there, and the word means service, came into this and recognized that it was kind of an oxymoron, financial service industry, because it was all about sales. And it's not that sales are bad, but nothing happens in our economy unless something's sold. So, but the question is, how is it sold? How is it serviced? So I wanted to create a true financial service company 32 years ago. And so I decided that what we were going to do was going to be able to serve people, educate people, help them to know how to make good financial decisions, and then from that earn their business, to be able to take them off into the future and be able to have them live the rest of their life and not run out of money. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
And I'm Daniel Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about gratitude. And we have a lot of things to be grateful for. We just had Thanksgiving Day, and it's the weekend, and we're thinking about the things that we're grateful for. And I think that's a good story of how Adjemi Financial came to be and the service behind it. We're grateful that we are able to serve our clients, that we're able to provide them with a perspective that's different than what the mainstream media or that the Wall Street proponents offer. And we've been super blessed by our clients. We say, we have a meeting every morning, and many times people say how grateful they are that we have wonderful clients that we get to work with. And maybe we get to be selective of who we choose to work with, but the people the clients we get to work with are some of the nicest people in the world, and we're very grateful for them.
Yes.
What are some other things that you, Andrew, are grateful for today?
Well, I'm grateful for you, Daniel. I'm grateful for you. You've been able to come in and support me and help me and back me and create a synergy here for our clients as like none before. So you have exponentially been able to take the business forward and be able to help our clients in ways that I wouldn't be able to do myself. So I'm grateful for you. And with that, I agree with what you're saying in regard to the clients. I'm grateful for these clients. People that have trusted us, they have had confidence in us to be able to help them to move forward. And we just had a client appreciation party for our clients, where they felt those that showed up felt very appreciated, right? And recognized that we love these guys and want to be able to help them. They're like family, and it was more of a wedding party than it was any kind of business organization that in regard to that. And that was just really cool, because one of the things I love so much about our clients is that they listen to what we have to say. And it's not that we expect them to do what the things are, because we act like the chief financial officer. They're the chief executive officers. They're the ones that need to make a decision, but they allow us to come in, to educate them so that they can make a smart, educated decision. And the thing that I think is egregious is when people make decisions by indecision, right? That a decision happens just because, and that's terrible. But I like it and I'm grateful that our clients are making decisions on purpose rather than an indecision. So that's kind of my thoughts there. But going along with that, there's just a lot of things that go with that. As we work with these people, like you said, we could be choosy of the different people that we work with, because the type of information that we're educating people with is multi-million-dollar advice. for people that don't have multi-millions of dollars. And it is able to help them. And for those people that want that help, we're wanting to do it. But some people just don't want that.
I thought you were going to say we're grateful for your tie.
Well, yeah. Well, that's thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that. I'm looking at it, but I don't. If those are watching on YouTube, this is a tie that I got from my team for my birthday, and it's people don't know what people don't know, because you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know, and that's what I'm grateful for. Is for our clients are people that they don't know what they don't know, but they're willing to learn. And the egregious thing is when people don't know what they don't want to know. When the egregious thing is when people don't know what they don't know, but they don't want to know what they don't know. And so anyway, because of that, we've got some papers. We got a paper that we'd like to give to you today to be able to help you to be able to know what you don't know. And we're coming up to the end of the year. Here we are at Thanksgiving time, and it's called Year-End Financial Planning. So we'd love to be able to put this in your hand. It's just a few pages, be able to help you be able to put your thoughts together and wrap up the year. Unfortunately, we're coming to a fast close of 2022, and before you know it, it's going to be 2023. And maybe you're listening to this at a different time other than Thanksgiving in 2022. That's okay, because it's still pertinent. Year-end financial planning. Love to put it in your hand. 800-725-7616 for your free copy, or hit us on the web at agemy.com, AGEMY.com, the two words agemy.com. Just put a comment in there, and we'll be glad to be able to get that to you best we can. So my team got me this tie, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it says people don't know what people don't know. And I'm grateful for my team celebrating my birthday recently, as well as giving me this tie. It's pretty cool. It's been a while since I got something this nice from my team, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate them. I have the best team ever, and so that's kind of my thought, Daniel.
Yeah. So one of the things that we hear a lot in meetings, is people will come in and they're a little discouraged, they're a little beaten down, right? Inflation is the highest it's been in 40 years or something, 7.78%, something like that. It's come down a little bit, but it's still very high. There's wars, there's rumors of wars, there's floods, there's everything you could imagine is just going on. There's a crazy man with nukes. There's all these kinds of things. Some people will say there's two crazy men with nukes, right? Like there's all these things going on, and people feel a bit overwhelmed. They feel uncertain. Right. And one of the things that we've seen people be very grateful for when we're going through the meetings is when you talk about clients and you talk about the fact that we've been able to serve our clients, it's the financial service industry. They've been able to heed advice and not get caught so much up in the hype, right? The Wall Street hype. I mean, you listen to Jim Cramer one day, he's celebrating Sam Bankman-Fried as the JP Morgan of the crypto space and this wonderful God that can do no wrong. And we all just should be happy to be in his presence. To the next day, his company collapses, and it's worse than Madoff. It's worse than these Ponzi schemes, these big collapses, and how could anybody fool for him? This is the kind of stuff that a lot of people have been listening to, or their advisors are listening to give them advice. And where we feel very grateful is people have allowed us to help them change and miss out on some of this bubbly things that have been going on in markets, especially the last 5 years, right? Right. Allow us to help them succeed. And now they're coming in and they're seeing the benefits of that, because their incomes on their portfolios, the portfolio may not be up year to date 7%, right, or 8%, but their incomes, that their portfolio, the spending power that they have in retirement has gone up maybe 7%, maybe 20%. I talked to somebody the other day, her spending power was up 50% from a year and a half ago when we talked, or just close to 2 years ago, right? These are the kinds of things we see our clients being grateful for. And we feel grateful that they were open-minded enough to switch mentalities, right? From the Wall Street or a growth mentality to a retirement or a lifestyle. My investments will pay me. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Many times people are coming in and they're wanting to know how their money is in relation to the market and how's their spending power. And, in relation to the market, they're beating the market because the market's down 25% or so. And if they're down, they're not down, but a few percent. But the big thing, like you say, is their spending power. Their spending power is up typically across the board over last year is double-digit increase, which if, double-digit increase is at least 10%, if not more. I mean, I've seen as low as 3%, and now I've seen as much as 30, 40% per year. You said 50%, but it's almost been 2 years. So that's an average of 25% a year. And so if that's the case, you're way ahead above spending, or you're way ahead of inflation. And it reminds me of the 80s when inflation was double digit. It was 10, 11, 12%. But people didn't care. Retirees didn't care because they were getting 15, 16, 18% on their CDs. They were well ahead of inflation. But we don't have 15, 16, 18% CDs today. We've got 4%, 5% CDs for a couple of years, maybe, but nothing long term. But that's where this compounding of dividends and income that we talk about on our shows is creating this double-digit increase for people. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to God that he's given us this opportunity to be able to do that. Daniel, you were quoting scripture. We're talking about, how we have wars and rumors of wars in DC, and it's clearly we're clearly in the end times from that standpoint, from a biblical standpoint. But the thing that I want to just say right here is that, I found this verse the other day in Psalm 13:6, last verse of Psalm 13 says, I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. And, all of us have so much to be grateful for at this time of year, because even the worst things, we could have all kinds of things happening to us, but there are so many things that could be worse than that. It could be so much worse than that. And, I'm grateful for being able to walk pain-free right now, right? There's been times in my life where I couldn't walk without pain. And right now I'm walking pain-free. And I'm thankful that all my internal organs are working properly so that everything functions well and whatnot. There's a lot of things that we're grateful for. And but and none the least of which being our clients and this opportunity we have to educate them in a different way. Well, we're running out of time here. We're going to need to take a break. And before we go to break, I want to offer you and our listening audience a book. Today's book is Return on Principle by our friend David Scranton. And Return on Principle is a book where he talks about a lot of different things that he's grateful for in his life and what has been principles that that his life has been built upon, that much is the same as with ours. And we'd love to be able to put this book in your hand. It's an easy read book. We have it for free. If you call 800-725-7616 to get for your free copy, or again, on the web, ask for your free copy. We need a couple different options to contact you, so make sure that we're getting it to you. We don't want to put it in the mail, find out we have the address wrong and it ends up in East Oshkosh. But 800-725-7616 or agemy.com, agemy.com. We'll be right back after this.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's agemy.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.
Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
So Daniel, I just was in a meeting with one of our clients, and it was great. I was doing a review with her, and as I, you know, I said, Mary, I'm sorry to say that, the market is down 25%. The good news is, you're not down. You haven't made any money is the bad news. And she said, yeah, Andrew, but I'm just so grateful I haven't lost a penny. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm like Will Rogers that says, that I'm not so much concerned about the return of on my money as much the return of my money. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
I'm Daniel Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about gratefulness, and Andrew, that's a good story. That's what we're about here, right? I think John F. Kennedy said, that we need to express our gratitude, but not just in words, right? We really need to express our gratitude through action. And I think that's such an important thing. That's what you're talking about. It's one thing to tell the story. It's one thing to say, well, the research department said that this could do this for me, and this could do this, and this could do this. It's another thing to show up in action. And that's what you're talking about, being the steward, right? Being a good steward. Increasing when we're talking about people who are in retirement or close to retirement, what is the most important thing that they should be thinking about? From your story, you're saying return of principal or return on principal. What is the most important thing that people need to be thinking about when they're thinking about protecting their retirements or protecting their lifestyle or getting ready to retire? What would you say that they need to be thinking about?
The thing that's so important in retirement is what you need to live on. Number one is, what are your expenses? Number two, what are you going to have to be able to pay for those expenses, right? When somebody retires, their paycheck goes away. And it doesn't matter if they've got, $500,000, $1 million, $5 million. They're not going to go out and spend $5 million. They're not going to go out and spend $1 million or $500,000. What they need is a paycheck from that money. Now, unfortunately, most people just withdraw from their accounts, and that's very old school, and that's the way you run out of money, as opposed to living off the interest, like many people have been taught by their parents. But the income to be able to have the lifestyle that people need and want is the key. How is that going to happen? And many people, there's still a lot of people that have pensions. A lot of teachers have pensions, right? There's still people that have pensions, and many times they're in good shape. However, not everybody has pensions, and there's things that they have. They're going to get money from Social Security. They're going to get money maybe from a pension, but then they need to be able to have their other assets that they get money from. And it's, how do you get money? But through dividends and interest. And that is being able to give them a paycheck and to be able to live off the interest, live off the dividends, as opposed to living off the principal, and to get into the principal.
And I think that completely changes the mindset, right? It's there's always something to be grateful for. There's always gratitude, and the more you appreciate and the more you practice being grateful, the more you find, and then the more you find, the more you have to be grateful for, and it's a compounding effect, kind of like those dividends and interest, or those chickens and the eggs, right?
Yeah,
it's a compounding effect. And one of the things that we've heard a lot is that people are grateful for those dividends and interest, or those chickens that are producing eggs, because what that allows them to do is it gives them confidence. When we were talking about all the uncertainty in the world, what you're speaking of there, when you're having your assets pay you, when your principal is generating an income that you can spend, you're able to not focus on so much of the junk happening around, and you can focus on either accumulation, growing your nest egg for a later date, for when you do turn that on, or being able to appreciate what's important in life.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting bogged down by paying attention to markets or paying attention for portfolio values, because you can understand how your assets are paying you.
Right.
And it creates a lot of freedom and a lot of gratitude is what we hear.
Right, exactly. You know, people enjoy being stress-free. A lot of people retire because they don't like the stress of their job anymore, and they want to get rid of the stress of their job. But some people continue stress in their investments, and that is terrible, right? You go on I remember hearing somebody went on a cruise and heard that the stock market dropped, and there was nothing he could do about his investments because he was on this cruise.
But it ruined his cruise, right?
Right. You know, and the whole time on the cruise, he's thinking about his investments dropping. Well, that adds stress. How can you enjoy how can you enjoy your retirement like that? And what we're interested in is people having a stress-free retirement. So we believe that an educated retiree is a happy and stress-free retiree. So that's why we spend so much time educating them and serving people through the educational process. And talking about the educational process, you know, that's why we have this radio show. We spend a lot of time putting on and recording this radio show, preparation to do the radio show and so forth. And but it's in order to educate you and our listening audience, because people don't know what people don't know. And how are you going to know unless somebody tells you? So we have, in order to educate you further on this, we have a paper that we'd love to be able to put in your hand called Year-End Financial Planning, something that will help you put together your thoughts and what you need to do, help you on the tax side of things, because now's the time to do tax planning for 2022. Once we hit 2023, it's too late. All you can do is damage control. So do some tax planning, do some financial planning to be prepared so to be able to hit the ground running in 2023. We'd love to put this in your hand. Either contact us on our website, agmy.com, the two words agemy.com, or call us at 800-725-7616 to get your free copy. Listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know. So Daniel, you know, I started this segment with you know, the aspect of, you know, the client that's happy that we're serving her and that she didn't lose any money. And, you know, you talked about how we're helping people be able to have dividends and interest. And, you know, earlier in the program, we talked about, you know, how people are getting double digit increases for them, you know, for their spending power. And that's a function of the compounding that goes on through you know, this methodology of dividends and interest. Typically, people invest in their 401ks. They have 401k brain and they invest, and it's all for growth, right? Where it goes from $10 a share, $11 a share, $12 a share, that kind of thing. But the problem is it can go back the other direction. Well, you know, with what we're talking about, people are able to still get, it may still do that, but they're still getting dividends and interest. So they're still making money. And when that money is coming in, it ends up compounded because they're buying more shares when the market goes down. And then when it comes up, it actually jumps up from that angle. But this is just one of the ways that we serve, right? I mean, you spend a lot of time, Daniel, researching and watching clients' accounts, right? To make sure that they're put in better positions, right? Give us some examples.
Well, we have the opportunity that not a lot of people have, right? We have an opportunity because of, you know, you mentioned that you started the company 32 years ago. We have a lot of experience. Right. We've seen a lot of things. We call it sometimes the wall of shame, right? Or some of the stuff that we see people come in that they've had or that they've had to go through. Right. And so we're very blessed to have the background, to have mentors, to have the connections that we need to be able to provide value. You mentioned this as well a little bit earlier. We call it $1 million advice, right?
Right.
The types of things that you could get if you had, you know, a $50 million portfolio, $100 million portfolio, these types of things that are not typically available to the regular retail retiree.
Right.
And we try our best to be able to offer the same type of advice instead of exclusively working with somebody that has $100 million, starting up a family office, doing that kind of stuff. We work with people who are regular folks,
Right.
people whose money means a lot to them because that's what their life represented is this money that they accumulated, and they want to be able to have a retirement that they're able to depend upon.
Right.
So in that, when we're talking about these kinds of things, we feel we have a fiduciary responsibility, but we feel like we have a special responsibility to our clients because they're putting our trust and confidence in us, that we go beyond maybe what they even expect. And so what that means is when you're investing for income, every little basis point matters, right? Every fraction of a percent matters, because if we can change your portfolio from earning 5.5% to 5.7%, that compounding makes a huge difference. Okay.
Right.
For example, we brought somebody's account over from another firm.
Right.
And they had a type of investment that's not liquid. But we were able to change the type of fund from having an internal fee to not having an internal fee. And it increased the yield on the fund by 80 basis points, almost 1%. Right.
Wow.
So these are the kinds of things that we feel obligated to do, that we're watching in the background. So you do that on a couple of different things, and you start talking about compounding that over a few years, and you start seeing the snowballing. And what's happening right now is while markets are coming down and people's stuff has been compounding, you're seeing these huge income increases, and people just, they don't understand. They're saying, how did that get so big? But it's these little changes, these little 50 basis points here, a percent there, this here, and it starts compounding. And then when everything else is falling apart around, and this has been compounding for a few years in the background, it really starts to be noticeable. And I think that's, to try to answer your question, I think that is watching those little things in the background, like that was, my mom's money, or that was, your grandma's money, watching that in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. And that compounding effect is amazing what happens. And that little bit over time can create a substantial, and like you're saying, and how we increased their income almost 1%. And we made nothing for that. That's just what we do. That we didn't make anything extra because that, but we're adding value, and that's what people pay us for, is be able to add that value to them, and it makes a huge difference over time.
And you wonder why their advisor never did that. Probably because they were making the extra 80 basis points,
right?
And that's why it was decreased.
Right.
But you wonder, why? Yeah.
You have to ask yourself that question, right? But people don't do that. Anyway, let's you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. It's time for us to take a break. And before we do, we'd like to help educate you further with the book, Return on Principle. You can have this for the next 5 callers at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616. Call now for your free copy.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at Adjemi.com. That's AGEMY.com. Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
So AAA, I was thinking about Thanksgiving, and you probably remember this better than me because I was just a little guy. But I remember we had a big old van, and it was coming up to Thanksgiving, and all his kids wanted to go see the turkeys at the turkey farm, and they dyed them all different colors. And so we wanted to go see the different colored turkeys and go down. So we go, and we're with our cousins, and we're having a good time. And I don't think you or mom were there, but somebody else was, using the vehicle.
Uh-huh.
And they took us, and we had a blast. Got to feed the birds, run around, see all the different color ones. And on the way back, we're on the highway, and the van breaks down. We break down on the side of the highway. And now it's this big, huge ordeal, right? We have to figure out how to get all these little kids from the side of the highway to their homes.
Uh-huh.
And we get home, and everything's going well. Then you got home, you were probably at work, doing whatever. And you're like, okay, it's dark, gotta go fix the van. So you go to fix the van, and there's a switch. It ran out of gas, but there's a switch, and it had another gas tank. And you flip the switch, and it was all good. I'm Daniel Adjemi.
And I'm Andrew Adjemi. You listen to the Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know, and that's why we're trying to educate you. And Daniel, I love that. I'd forgotten about that van, and I seem to when you finished that punchline there, I recall something along those lines, but I didn't recall it until that point. So, yeah. And so, what's that got to do with gratefulness?
Well, grateful for good memories, grateful for good times. You could look back at something and remember it horribly, like we were stuck on the side of the highway, or that day was ruined. Or you can, perspective is huge, and gratefulness compounds, right? I think that's a huge thing. How gratefulness compounds, and your mentality changes when you're grateful for things, right? The way you see the world. But the point behind that story was understanding the way things work.
Yeah.
The van was broken. It was no good. It couldn't go anywhere. We were stuck on the side of the highway. Yeah. But the person who has the right tools or understands the way that it works, all it was a switch that you flip on. And having the right tool for the job, or understanding the right place, the right time, right?
Yeah.
And to me, this is something that I see going on a lot right now, where you have these very unexperienced people who are giving advice, and they're broken down on the side of the road right now because they've never seen there's a switch right there.
Yeah.
And I guess what kind of brought that to mind was we were talking about we just had to flip a switch on that investment fund that came over from another advisor. Right. And when I say it changed the dividends by 80 basis points.
Okay.
If you look at the performance over the last 5 years of the investment, not counting dividends, and you use the fund that it is now or the fund it was before, it changes the average return by a couple percent, or I was more than that each year. So so that whole point of the van was having somebody, right? Having a team on your side that understands, that has the experience to understand how those things work, to understand how to navigate these kind of stressful, these kind of unruly markets that we're in today.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is good from that angle, being able to know what others don't know. And, having, we're now in our fourth decade in this. And if we add my experience with your experience, I mean, that's pretty near, 50 years worth of experience, which is a lot. And then if we add in the rest of the team and whatnot, that's even more. But little by little, things make a huge difference. And when we're talking about the rest of somebody's life, that can mean the difference of running out of money before they run out of life, or not running out of money by a huge margin. So gratefulness goes a long way. I agree. And one of the things that I want to just take the opportunity to say is that, having professionals that know what is going on and how to be able to help you is one thing, and that's good. But each of us are responsible for our own lives and for our own attitudes and gratefulness. Like Daniel said, gratefulness compounds. And I would like to encourage you and our listening audience to take a moment and to every day take a moment and list 3 things that you're grateful for. 3 things, and it will be amazing what has happened. I've been doing this for a few years now, and I have my list has expanded to be pretty big list of just things that I'm grateful for every day, like being able to walk pain free every day. I'm grateful for being able to walk pain free. Plus, there's other things that I add to that, but that's a huge thing to be able to take time to be grateful for at this time of year and every day. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know. We'd like to have a paper that we'd like to give to you to be able to help you educate you further on these things. As people are in or close to retirement, the question is, what do you need to do? Daniel asked earlier, okay, what's people need to do to be able to plan for retirement? And we have a paper that we'd like to put in your hand called The Essentials of Preparing for Retirement. And so we'd love to send that to you, Essentials for Preparing for Retirement. And you can have that by calling 800-725-7616 or hitting us on the web at agemi.com, agemy.com, and then contact us there, and we'll be able to get that to you from that standpoint. Daniel, gratefulness, we've been talking about gratefulness today. We're grateful to serve our clients. You talked about how we serve them by trying to increase their dividend, increase their performance, increase their return on their monies, and we work hard at that. You spend a lot of time looking for deals every day, looking for deals that we can improve upon their situation, get them better return. Earlier this year, you were getting people 3 or 4%. Now we're able to get them 7 or 8%, depending upon the investment. But with that, we do other things to serve our clients, be able to help them, and at no extra cost, right? We do things like encouraging people and looking and analyzing, seeing if Roth conversions make sense for people. And many times we do these Roth conversions for people just because they're our clients, and we're moving money from point A to point B, and we're doing all kinds of work and paperwork to be able to make that happen. But we get no extra compensation for that. But they get a lot of money tax free. That's one of the ways they stay up with inflation, right? Is by converting taxable money to tax free money.
Right. That goes back to the van, right? And knowing which flip to switch. You could do a Roth conversion and cause some problems. Maybe your health insurance goes up, or maybe maybe you get bumped into another bracket, or your Social Security all of a sudden becomes taxable. Right. But so it's doing those the right way and understanding how that affects everything. But yeah, absolutely. If we talk about income all the time, if you have $100,000 of income, you're pumping out $100,000 of income. How much do you get to put in your pocket?
$100,000. Well, it depends on if you're paying tax or not, right? Right.
I mean, you're probably going to get closer to 70, right?
Yeah, if you're paying tax on the whole thing, right?
If you get it, and it might mess something else up too with that much income. It might mess up your health insurance, or it might mess up your Social Security. So you might it might be less than that 70.
Right.
You get $100,000 of dividends and interest out of Roth. How much you get to keep?
$100,000.
And in fact, it might be more than $100,000, right?
Because it's not messing up your Medicare or your health insurance or those kinds of things. Exactly.
It might actually net your pocket more than $100,000, which is crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's not very often that I hear other have how other advisors are doing this for people from that angle once in a while. But usually they can't do this kind of thing because they're told by their firms, because they're large firms, you can't talk about taxes because you're not a tax preparer. Well, that's what makes us so much different, right? Because we have a tax preparation firm as well. We have CPA on staff. We are able to talk about taxes and help people with taxes and be able to do tax planning. And this is a great time to do tax planning before the year ends. Because once the year ends, forget about it. All you can do is manage the problem that you're facing with. But before the year ends, you can do some planning from that standpoint. And that's, one of the things we're doing is looking at, well, who needs to do some Roth conversions before the end of the year, or who needs to, we need to make sure that their RMDs are fully satisfied before the end of the year. So we don't want them to pay 50% tax, 50% penalty on their RMD, these kinds of things, right?
Yeah, and I think it goes a little even deeper than that. It goes back to like the gratefulness journal you're talking about, because it's a mentality, right? Yeah. A grateful mentality is a abundance mentality,
right?
And it's not a scarcity. And so part of it is you have the abundance on two ways. One, you have time to do it, right? We work for our clients. We have time to take care of our clients,
right?
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
We're grateful for our clients. We have time to help them with their needs. We have time to look at their portfolios to help them achieve the goals that they need to have. They might not even know that that's a possibility, but that's our job to show that and help them achieve that. Yeah. So it's that abundance mentality, and then in turn, we feel blessed that we're able to help them have that abundance mentality, because now they go from the scarcity. Markets are down 25%. I better shut off income this year. I better shut it off and wait till markets come back and put my life on pause for a bit.
Right.
Or that tension, like you said, on the cruise ship, right? Where it's just, it ruined the cruise ship because worry. So those are things that we try to add value, gratefulness, gratitude. Yeah. We try to add these things as a culture, but in our firm to help our clients to be able to compound not only their income and their dividends, their interest, but compound their confidence and compound their joy and compound these things that we can't really do for them, but we try to help them in every way we can to provide them with those benefits.
Exactly. It's called adding value. So we're going to need to take a break here. And as we do, I want to offer you this book that we're giving away today. It's called Return on Principal by our friend David Scranton. And it's this book that tells about what some of the things that he's grateful for and the principles, but that he's built his life upon that make a big difference to him and to other people as well. So we'd love to put this in your hand for the next 5 callers at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616. Get this book for free, no obligation. Call now.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's AGEMY.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.
Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
Daniel, as we think about and talk about gratefulness today, I was thinking about how this morning, as I was getting ready to come into work today, and I was just thinking about how your mother, my wife, takes such good care of her family, and just being very grateful for the clean house and the clean clothes and all these different things. And I went and I said to her how grateful I was. And then as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about how that, we've been married 40 years. years now, as you well know, and my love for her today has compounded, and so has my gratefulness. I think part of why my love has compounded is because my gratefulness has compounded. Trying to eliminate things like expectations, because expectations tend to make us ungrateful, and to be able to just concentrate on those things that are positive, to be able to be adding to the gratefulness, and then gratefulness leads to more gratefulness, and that's what today's show is about. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
And I'm Daniel Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about gratefulness, and I think that's a really good point. Something that we should all allow to sink in and think about the compounding effect of gratefulness. And what's the difference between gratefulness or thankfulness and gratitude? Thankfulness is more of an emotion, right? Something happens and you're thankful, you're appreciative of that. And I think gratitude is more of a way of being. Nothing needs to happen for you to be grateful. Right. Gratitude is thankfulness, but I think gratitude is part of life, and that is something that really compounds more so than just thankfulness. Somebody returns your change, or somebody lets you go in line ahead of them, and it's an emotion. Oh, that was nice, thank you. But I think gratitude is more of who you are.
Right.
And even when it seems like everything around you is going wrong, you're still grateful. There's still gratitude in your life because it's the way you think. It's what you're composed of. And this is something that really, really can compound over time.
Yeah.
Right. We're always talking about income.
Right.
And how it compounds and how it grows and how it compounds. And if you have it in your portfolio, right, every year, your income goes up, it compounds, it gets a little bigger, it gets a little bigger, it gets a little bigger. Yeah. Over a few years, it's this huge thing. It's the snowball. But today, on Thanksgiving weekend, I think we should think about how each person, right? You, me, the listeners, what do you want your next year to look like? How can you compound your gratitude? How can you compound that inner being of peace, that inner being of compounding of this all-encompassing, this joy that gratitude brings, right?
Right.
I think it's a good parallel. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, I think that gratitude is a state of mind. I think, thankfulness is something that you say, something that you do, but gratitude is a state of mind. And, we teach kids from the time they're very young, right? Say, thank you for that, or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily teach them gratitude. They more catch gratitude than are taught gratitude. And that's what we have to train our minds to be grateful. It's not something that just comes naturally. Our natural state is that of being a sinner and that of being selfish. And gratitude is not being selfish. It's recognizing what others have done and what others, what is going on in your life that's because of other people. So, some of the things that there's several things that in my mind have been able to help me to be able to compound, gratefulness in my life. And certainly have seen a huge difference over the years in my life. And I think the people around me have. I think certainly my wife has. She knows me better than anybody. And I'd like to, maybe spend the rest of the show talking about that. But before we do, I would just like to take time and say, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know. We have a paper that we'd like to put in your hand to be able to help you to be able to prepare for the new year and prepare for what's ahead and prepare for retirement. But it's called The Essentials of Preparation for Retirement, right? The essentials of what you need to know for retirement. And you can have that paper just by calling us at 800-725-7616 to get your free copy, or hit us up on the web at agemy.com, AGEMY.com, AgeMy, the two words, AgeMy.com, for your free copy. So, Daniel, as I talk about gratitude today, and we talk about gratitude, and we want to help our listening audience to be able to compound that so that in a year from now, things are different, right? And things are more positive. Gratitude is going to bring positivity. And some of the things that in my mind come to play is how to be able to build this is we already spoken about our gratitude journal, maybe starting with 3 things every day. Put it on your phone, right? In the note section on your phone, whatever the case may be, 3 things each day that you are grateful for that has happened. Grateful to God for, grateful for those people around you for that has done good things for you, or whatever the case may be. And you'll be amazed to see what happens with that as you exercise that. Another thing is, being in the moment and enjoying the moment that you're in, and then remembering that moment, right? Because all those things, enjoyment brings gratitude when you're dealing with things. One of the things that are so important to me is reading the Bible. The book of Psalms in particular is something that allows us to be able to recognize that what God has done and what he is doing in our lives, so that we can be grateful and recognize that there's something bigger than us. Also going along with that would be eliminating certain things from our life, like expectations, but words like, don't and not and can't and won't and no, right? Because they tend to get us focused on the negative side of things. And as you learn how to speak differently, the gratitude will flow a little bit differently from that standpoint. So those are some of the things that come to my mind, Daniel. What do you think about those? You agree with that? Do you have something to add to that? We want to add some value here at Thanksgiving. It's not just life's not just about money. Life's about relationships. And that's where the gratitude comes in, right? Is helping and improving relationships.
Yeah, definitely. I think gratitude is it's a chosen state of being, right? And those things that you mentioned can allow you to be present and experience what's going on.
Yeah.
And we get caught up thinking about what has happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. And sometimes it's just being present, being there, experiencing life, right? Because we're always talking about planning. We're talking about in the future, you're compounding, planning for the future, always thinking about that. But just enjoying where you are right now and choosing that state of gratitude.
Yes.
But I agree with you on the being present. If that's a meditation to you, where you're saying, I'm going to constantly be present. When I'm with people, that's all that's going to matter. I'm going to be on my phone. I'm not going to be, distracted by the TV. I'm not going to be these kinds of things. But as we have this wonderful opportunity to celebrate the blessings that we have as families, as individuals, as a nation. Thanksgiving was about tough times, right? That got them to there, but they were celebrating because they had each other, right? They had food. It might not be the kind of food that we put on our Thanksgiving tables.
Right.
But they had food. They were alive. They seen tons of people die. They seen their friends die, their family die. Yeah. But they chose to have a state of gratitude. And now this has been happening for years and years and years, and we get to celebrate that. So I know for me, I'm going to think about how I want to compound gratitude and how I want to compound being present and enjoying the things, right? Enjoying each moment for the next year. I like you have a gratefulness journal and keep doing that. But I challenge people, we talk about compounding interest all the time. Let's compound our gratitude. Get something down, challenge yourself, write it down, write down you're going to do something. You're going to have a gratefulness journal. You're going to be present and give yourself a time to check back in. If it's a week or a month or, a year and see how you're doing, see how it compounded.
Exactly. That's great, Daniel. And of course, with that whole thing, we really, when we're talking about gratitude, we're talking about Thanksgiving, we have to draw the attention to who are we thankful to? Who are we grateful to ultimately are, the intelligent being that intelligently designed us and created us, God in heaven that allows this to happen. And whether you're listening, you don't believe that. Well, if you don't believe in God, that's okay because he believes in you. And, with that, he's created a lot of things for you, and things don't happen just by circumstance. They happen on purpose. And so we're glad to be able to speak with you today, and I hope you enjoyed this rendition of Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. And as we depart for this week, we'd like to make sure that you have the opportunity to be able to take advantage of getting this free book, Return on Principal by David Scranton. 7 core values to help protect your money in good times and bad times. We'd love to be able to put this in your hand for free, no obligation, by calling us 800-725-7616. The next 5 callers at 800-725-7616. Get your free copy. Call now. In the meantime, till next time, you too can have a stress-free retirement.